Which operator should receive a buff?
To be honest, I would actually probably Steel Mountain. Part of this reason, though, is actually quite valid because he seems to drop the ball a lot lately. Like, he used to be someone I could always rely on, but recently in some events or even in some CC operations as well, he's kind of dropped the ball quite significantly. So maybe something there needs to change because mine is max everything. So anyway.
Well, that's easy. It's Lapland.
And have to give a buff to an operator? I mean, Viviana probably. Probably Viviana because I actually like her. And she's not good, so it's not like some of the other ops that I don't care about that are bad. So I would say Viviana's probably a good choice.
I'd buff Phantom's S3 so that it could hit aerial enemies and also have a guaranteed stun. If Yato and Texas Alter can hit aerial enemies, he should be able to as well. Also, why doesn't Phantom's S1 give him Arts Dodge and a barrier that can absorb Arts damage as well? Why just physical? The fact that Graffel's shield is stronger than his makes absolutely no sense. So if I could change it, I would make his shield much stronger and also be able to dodge and absorb arts damage.
A character I would buff is definitely Viviana, not because I believe that she's lacking in power and stuff like that. I mean, I made an entire video showing where and how she can be strong, but I just think she just lacks some sort of identity with her kit. Hopefully her module will make her stand out a bit more.
Viviana, she needs more, so my kettle brain can handle her.
Well, for buffs, I would say red, because point at Exhibit A, but also, you know, she has kind of been power crept, right? Like, you know, Dexter and Yato exist now, so, you know, just bump on my girl a little bit, you know, make her a little more meta, a little more competitive, you know, wouldn't hurt anyone.
Thorn sucks a lot. He's commonly the first operator to E2 and E0 accounts because of how useless he is at E0. I'd say the only way he could be buffed in the game is if they gave him a watered down version of his S3 charge skill as his S1. It would be similar to how Neural Alter or Jessica Alter has charged S1 skills.
I can't pinpoint an operator, but I can tell you that Primal Caster can benefit with a buff or a slight rework with their mechanics because from my research, my short research, they are basically getting shafted by Logos and Ebonholes, who has a module that deals elemental damage.
Vigil. His kit as a 6 stars is too half-assed, even with his module. He sucked at lane holding or even DPSing.
And when it comes to operator that should receive a buff, I would probably say Viviana, because back when we first heard about Viviana and when she appeared as an enemy, right? Like, I believe a lot of people liked her, fell in love with her, but in the end, she came out a bit mediocre and then outshined by Surtur quite a bit when Surtur was like this age-old operator and Viviana was supposed to be this like new generation of operator, but Viviana ended up being really mid. Yeah, she should really get a buff.
Obviously, if anyone says anyone other than Frostleaf, then I don't know what to tell you.
Carnelian, please. My wife keeps getting dunked on because of her like a slow activation for her skills. Like, can that be improved? Like, I feel that should be buffed up a bit. You know, increase SP charge time or like decrease the cost of it would be nice. Because S3 needs like a 2 charges for the funny things to happen. But yeah, it would be nice. It would be nice if Carnelian got another buff. Or something. Maybe a new module? I don't know.
That's a good question. I'm not pick one operator only, but I pick one faction is USSG operator. Zima, Gumi, Istina, Leto, and Rosa. They should give a little bit buff. Adding talent only for USSG.
I personally think some operators should get like reworks, unless you also count it as a buff, to make them more viable. Operators like Tsukinori Gawan, believe it or not, from dealing arts damage to healing operators by using her skills. I think some operators like Frostleaf or even entire classes like AoE casters or Dreadnought guards would see some use of that, of such reworks, you know?
Whissadel.
Which operator should receive a buff? Glaucus and Snowsint. Glaucus
we don't get drones. We don't get drones. We don't get infected creatures anymore. Glaucus should be able to hit Machina too. Please just fix Glaucus. I love Glaucus. She's such a cute sea slug. If you like watch her when she's like firing her weapon, her little slug ears waggle back and forth. It's adorable. I love Glaucus. Buff Glaucus.
Honestly, I'm against buffs because I'm okay with operators being bad, but if I had to pick, it would be Winflit, I guess, because he's awful.
One operator to buff for me would be Thorns, because I just love Thorns. And I want my husband to be healthy and strong, what can I say?
Which operator should receive a buff? Ooh, now this one was a bit hard to say, because you could say, just pick, an old, outdated character, but actually, no, you know what? I am going to go for someone quite old, who needs a buff. I think Dusk needs a buff. They have not done a good job with her modules, and she was never particularly great. And for a limited operator, that's really disappointing. And I also really like her design. I think she's a cool character, great design. I love the look of her abilities, but it's just so hard to find a spot to use her, and she's never been particularly great. So yeah, I would go back and make Dusk right.
I would say Jubai, but she's already powerful enough to charm me, but I would like some more love to dark-skinned waifus like Carnelian, to be honest. Like, Lyn is a direct power creep to Carnelian, but I still think the damage ramp up with Carnelian with the mechanic, the lower the skill duration is, the higher the damage goes. And also, the overcharge mechanic is very neat too. Plus, I love myself some dark-skinned ladies. Give me more of them, Hypergriff.
No one? If anything, I'd say debuff the easy no-brain characters. Debuff Texter or debuff Chalter. Instead of just this crazy power creep we keep getting. Yeah, but don't buff anyone. There's so many characters, it doesn't matter, right? You can clear content, no problem.
A feeder, of course. I feel a little sad that even though she was super meta for everybody in CC Beta and so beloved, I feel like she quickly fell behind Weedy and other push and pull units, and I feel like she just needs a revamp to get her back in there. I would not be opposed to having an F feeder altar, just saying.
If from a meta perspective, a lot of them actually, many operators are in a weak state, but from a narrower perspective of purely character by character, I'd say Fartooth. She's played with problems head to toe, from kit interactions to module. It was terrible.
I think Onectis should receive a buff, just because her SB charge is pretty bad, and I tried to use her for like 30 days as a challenge, and I just found that she's pretty mid at what she does, and the whole duelist archetype just doesn't work out in actual gameplay. So yeah, she should receive a buff.
Vigil.
Personally, not biased or anything, but I totally think that Aosta could use a buff, he could use a buff. Or honestly, Vigil as well. I got me my Vigil merch here. I don't know. I think I just have a thing for like wolf boys, as you can tell from my merch collection. I don't know. I just really think that Vigil and Aosta. Can I have two? Two. Vigil and Aosta. Give them buffs. Give me my strong wolf boys. Thank you, Hypergriff. Okay.
Mine is quite a unique one. I need a cardigan buff in the form of her being able to reach E2. Mainly because if you listen to her voice line when she gets promoted, she says she can't wait for next promotion, she's sure it won't take that long. Dude, it's been years. If one character deserves a buff, it would be her.
I want Gravel to get a buff. She's taken the most crap to herself from drones and even mini nukes for us, and I feel like she isn't appreciated enough. Maybe she should get even more shields. I want to kiss her! Easton the Rat Queen!
Well, too many to count, no? But they won't, so I'm just going to say Pinecone. Because I want one. She kind of did with the model though, so I guess I'm settled.
This might be a little bit biased, but Siege was my first 6-star operator, and I feel like over time, other Vanguards came out that kind of overshadowed her, but I still think she deserves a lot of love, so please, Hypergriff, Siege Alter win.
Alright, here's your patented super hot take. Nobody. This game should not have balance patches. Modules already fucked up enough. Buffing operators sets a terrible precedent. In a gacha game, every character you obtain is an investment of premium currency. Therefore, you must know precisely what you're getting into. Introducing balance patches into the game messes all of this up. Now you can't possibly know if an operator is a good investment or not, since balance patches might change them later.
Angelina and Archetype.
I don't know. No one. Just because, yeah, there are some operators that's really weak that the community thinks that way about. Like, for example, Winfleet, you've got Tsukinogi, maybe some of the splash casters, for example. But even so, I'm not that bothered about a unit being weak because I think that's just interesting to challenge myself with.
There are a lot of operators that I could think of, but as a Arknights player I have to go with the 5-star Executor. He's like the only operator whose skill gets worse with masteries. Looking at your skill too. Aside from that, even with the modules his performance leaves a lot to be desired. I'd go as far as to say that he just needed a bit more stats from the module to shine.
Durnar, also known as the Thick Defender, deserves some love. Buff her S2 and make it auto SP recovery on top of gaining SP for every hit taken, and then for every consecutive hit the enemy takes, they lose 1% res and defense.
Personally, I'm not going to mention the obvious ones such as Vitriol or Frostleaf. They have been in the game long enough for Hypergriff to do something about them. My take on this is that newer operators that are severely underwhelming should be improved upon, and one of them is goddamn Wormy. Like, tell me what mad lad makes her deal more elemental damage under elemental debuff, but she herself does not inflict it with her S2. I am aware that she will get a module eventually, but why do you need to fix something with modules when it should be part of an operator's kit in the first place?
Ark, I feel like should be buffed so that he can attack civilians with his skill. I don't want him to buff them, I just want him to shoot them until they die. End of answer.
I'm somewhat satisfied with most operators, aside from obvious ones like Frostleaf, which considering it already got a mod I feel like those are a bit of lost hope though. If I want to be greedy though I would like Surtur to get a buff just for no particular reason.
Plenty. 2 and 3 stars. I would like Skadi personally to become stronger. She is not strong enough. And perhaps we'll see Skadi Alter 3.
I'm currently fine with everyone's strength, because there are no stages which you can't defeat without a specific unit. This is a gacha game, so power creep is inevitable, and for Arknights, they did a really good job on handling the power creep.
And with that, let me say a massive thank you to all the creators for joining in. Without the Arknights community being so amazing, a project like this wouldn't be possible. And because of that, let me just say, once again, thank you so much for joining in. If there was any creator you especially liked, please check them out in the description down below. And with that said, thank you so much for watching the video, and I wish all of you an amazing day. Bye bye, Smesai, have a good one, and see ya.